Well, good day everybody. Thanks for tuning in to my blogs. Today I want to talk about urine therapy and the relation with HIV/AIDS. Now, obviously it's a disease that has such stigma and we're all told it can't be cured and it's an impossibility. Yet I have spoken to some professionals that have actually cured a person of full-blown AIDS. Now, obviously, back in the 80s when the epidemic came out, everyone was dropping down like flies and, pretty much dying pretty quickly. And a part of that, I think, was the relation to a lot of the drugs they were giving you. Pretty much, they had a storage, a surplus of these toxic drugs that were used for cancer patients that would pretty much kill your body. And we only have to look at today, where people aren't actually dying. They're living 20, 30, 40, 50 years with such diseases. And we've also learnt that HIV doesn't necessarily always turn into AIDS, which back in the 80s it was converting over. So why the change? What's happening? Is it the design of drugs? Is it something that we really know? We're all individual people and we have to experiment with your own knowledge and your own power. So in the process of making the film about urine therapy, a lot of people ask me about, can it cure AIDS and can it help, people with HIV? Now, this is a question I ask a lot of people along questions of cancer and other illnesses, because the way that they see it is all illnesses are the same. You heal the body and not the disease. So by healing the body, the disease will go back to where it should be, non-existent. Cancer disappears. The AIDS virus or whatever illness you have will counteract. Because urine therapy, what it does is heals the body. It heals the body's imbalances. So correcting those imbalances. Now, the first person I talked about this disease was in New York, where Martin J. Lara used to educate many people in the 80s about using the universal remedy of urine therapy to boost the immune system. So whilst people were getting sick of this disease, their immune system was keep going down and down and down, and then the urine therapy would actually basically add energy to them and increase their level of T cells because they were drinking these things and so forth that was going on in their body. Now, I'm not a doctor, I don't know the science of it, and I'm not going to say, I'm trying to claim I'm something of that caliber, but I can only go off the information that I've learned. So can it actually cure though? Now, obviously, all these people that he was teaching back in the early 80s were, surviving and living a lot longer without the drugs and doing the urine therapy, and of course then eventually went to the drugs because their doctor said they were crazy and you believe the guys in the white coats as gospel and they must know best. So having said that though, there are drugs out there now I think in the market that are still very good, but we don't know the longevity or the side effects that comes from drugs. So then on my journey to Japan, I caught up with Dr. Atom Anu. He was a doctor living in South America, in Montevideo. He worked in a clinic and he was teaching people about nutrition, health and urine therapy. Now, because he started doing the urine therapy aspect of it, he was thrown out of the practice that he was working at and discredited and so forth, which is pretty expected. So then he opened up his own clinic and started teaching people more about exercise, nutrition, fasting and urine therapy because they all go hand in hand. And he came across a woman that was in hospital because they called him. She was pretty much almost, I think it was 6 months from her deathbed. She had full-blown AIDS. She'd contacted from her husband. The husband had since died and she was left in hospital. The doctors didn't know what to do and said they couldn't help her. So he took her under a wing. He used to teach at seminars all about, urine therapy and fasting and exercise and these combinations. So then what he did was he took her under his wing and put her on a urine fast. Now, fasting is really important in general because what it does is cleans the body. It detoxifies what's in the system by flushing it out. Now, it's not starvation. When you fast, your body feeds off the dead cells first. It doesn't eat the healthy cells. And also, by fasting, you're spending less energy digesting food and doing all the things your body needs to do when you're sick, which is repair. So when we're ill, we do this natural process of not feel hungry when we're sick. And that's our body saying, need to fast, need to repair the illness. So he put her on a urine fast on and off over a period of time of 8 months. She'd go 5-day fast, she'd eat a few days raw organic food and exercise, go back on maybe a 2-week fast, come back off, raw juicing and so forth and back and forth, and slowly increase the fasting. She became an improvement in no time. It was about 2 years after talking to him in the process that she completely reversed her AIDS status and cured herself of all her illnesses. What I didn't actually get to ask is if, was she still HIV? But in the interview, which I've got on camera, he does talk about how they tested her. And they tested her several times and found nothing. No registry of being HIV. So 100% cure. But what was interesting after that is she knew she cured herself, and then she went back to the doctors and had the tests, and they said, well, we must have misdiagnosed you. It's our fault. And she said, no, it was impossible, because the results, the way that were tested, was categorically HIV positive, full-blown AIDS. So she actually took them to court in a battle that took months to win her case to actually say that she had AIDS, HIV-related illnesses, and now is 100% cured. That was the first case ever, but it's been buried, pretty much silent. She now teaches all around South America, going to jails and prisons, because there they have a very bad level of HIV-related drug use and so forth, disease spreading throughout, and she educates those to drink their urine and conduct fastings for this disease. I've also heard people, one person in jail who had the lesions which happen as a sign of it spreading even further by rubbing urine onto the skin, and it actually stopped those lesions appearing and pushed it back or took it out of the body and the system. So she is the first case of this happening. There's probably only been 2 cases in the world globally that people are talking about, yes, they've cured themselves from this, but the medical system certainly doesn't want you to know, and it's still very experimental, and you do have to follow a very strict regime. Dr. Atamanu was basically coaxing her the full way, and it's quite an amazing story. This woman, I'm still trying to hunt down and see if I can find her. She did attend one of the world conferences on urine therapy and talked openly about how she cured her disease, and and even today she's disease free. So this just goes to show that urine therapy has a power, and it has a power to heal the body. And the way that works is correcting the imbalances. If you have a high temperature, it brings your temperature back down to a normal level. If you have a low temperature, it brings it back up to a balance. It regulates your system, and that's pretty important, especially when you're ill, because your temperature is out of balance. So to normalize your temperature is a very important key about our health, because our body runs at a certain temperature anyway. Then obviously, urine has different components in it, such as, nutrients and minerals and blood DNA and T cells and all these fighting cells, that by her re-ingesting these was actually adding more into the system. So I think, this sort of subject, even though it's kind of like, great, is it possible, maybe it's rumor, is actually something that I really want to try and cover in depth a little bit more if I can find her, just to show people that, hey, here's the possibility. There is no disease that can't be cured. We can fight anything. And you have to have this will too, I think, about understanding yourself, listening to your body, and going from there. So that was just a little blog about what I'd found out along the way. So for all those urine therapy drinkers and wannabes and who try it out or want to practice your health, go ahead, give it a go. All the best.